This evening, low 73. Tomorrow, partly sunny, still breezy. 40% chance of showers and thunderstorms, 88. Sunday, perhaps the better weekend day. Mostly sunny, 20% chance of showers and thunderstorms, high of 90.
Staff meteorologist John Weatherby, Money Radio 1510 and 99.3 FM.
93 degrees now. The Dow is up 37 points at 17,178. S&P 500 up 5 at 2,029. The NASDAQ up 3 at 4872. Reporting for Money Radio, I'm Ken Morgan.
The views expressed on the following program do not necessarily reflect the views of Money Radio staff, management, or advertisers, and do not represent an offer to buy or sell any securities. Some interviews heard on this program may be sponsored by the participants. It's time for Health Futures with Cypress Home Care Solutions, Bob Roth. This is Arizona's only show dedicated to providing you with expert advice on how to live a longer, healthier, and happier life. To learn more, call 602-264-8009. That's 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Bob Roth.
Good afternoon. My name is Bob Roth, and you are listening to Health Futures, Taking Stock in You. As you heard at the top, we are a weekly show found right here on Money Radio, 1510 AM, 99.3 FM, and found on the World Wide Web at moneyradio1510.com. And here we are at Friday, October 16th, and we're reporting to you, or we're coming to you live from the Scottsdale Air Park studio. And I wanted just to take a moment just to kind of rant a little bit. You never really hear me rant, but I'm not here to talk about politics. I'm talking about the people that we care for day in and day out. And just to educate our listening audience, in 1974, our lawmakers, and I'm talking about our senators, and I'm talking about our congressmen, they put into place a law called Companion Exemption Rule. And that Companion Exemption Rule was intended for those people that are receiving services. And it was primarily targeted for those that had children as well as aging adult parents could receive those services and be exempt from overtime charges as well as minimum wage. So third-party employers like Cypress Home Care Solutions, who are out there to help enable our aging adult population by assisting them with their activities of daily living, those things like getting dressed in the morning, making sure they eat, make sure they take their medications, driving them to and from appointments. They were afforded the opportunity to provide this care without having to pay overtime. Now, I'm one of those employers. And there are many others out there, close to 30,000 across the country. And trust me, it's not that we don't want to pay overtime. We would be happy to pay overtime. But the challenge is that these families that are receiving care, it costs a lot of money. And it costs more than some that have the disposable income to do it. And sometimes they have to dip into savings. And at some point in time, and many of you may have gone through this, they have to do spend downs just to be able to receive care. And the challenge is that, our lawmakers put this into place. And it was a good thing. And it was a good thing since 1974. And doing the math, that's like 41 years. And just a couple months ago, we had a ruling that came down that said that exemption was no longer permissible. And that was done by our regulators, not our lawmakers, but the regulators, being the Department of Labor. And the challenge that we have is they've redefined what companionship is, and they've also put this into place. And our aging adult population now, as well as the kids, and I'm talking about the disabled children now, are having to pay overtime because employers, third-party employers like us, have to do so. So we petitioned the Supreme Court, and we had a hearing just a week ago, a little more than a week ago, and we were hoping that we could have a stay in this and have our hearing with the Supreme Court. And I just want our listening audience to know that we went before the Supreme Court, not once but twice, most recently back in 2007, and we went before the Supreme Court justices, and we unanimously were able to put and keep that exemption in place. And I'm talking about, a 10-0 vote or 9-0 vote. And that case was Evelyn Cook versus Long Island Home Care. So I'm just taking this opportunity to rant and just say, we're still working on it. We're going to petition the Supreme Court, and we're hoping to get a hearing sometime in the early first quarter of 2016 to see if we can restore this. And I just want our listening audience to know this, because so many of you guys are listening, and so many of you or family members are doing that hard work, and so many of you are relying on third-party employers like Cypress Home Care Solutions to help you enable your loved one to stay at home. So we're here to support you guys. We have solutions. We've come up with solutions. So if you find yourself in a situation where you're like, oh no, what's this mean to me? Call us at Cypress Home Care Solutions at 602-264-8009. We've known about this for over 5 years. It has been a threat that has been put onto our industry. It is here. And you know what? I don't have to tell you about the aging demographics. We got 10,000 65-year-olds, or people turning 65-year-old in our country every single day. So the need is going to continue to grow. And with that, I wanted to just alert our listening audience that we have solutions, and we're working to help you help your loved ones. So we have been on the air for almost 2 years. It's hard to believe it. And I've got here in the studio an incredible guest, and I want him to talk a little bit about what his not-for-profit is doing in our community. We've brought to you probably close to 80 episodes, and if you want and care to listen to them, you want to go to cypresshomecare.com and push the radio button up on the top or halfway down, and you can listen to our previous episodes. But we've had everybody from research docs to financial service people to long-term insurance personnel, if you would, and we've had not-for-profits. And I got a return guest here today, and I want him to talk a little bit about what he's doing, because this is something that's affecting our community. And not just here in Phoenix, but it's affecting everybody throughout the country, and the numbers are staggering. And I've had a number of guests talking about the Alzheimer's disease. And the Alzheimer's dementia disease is it's very prevalent, and it continues to grow. And the statistics are daunting, but I want to just jump right in and introduce our guests, and we'll talk about statistics. Dan Lawler from the Alzheimer's Association, Desert Southwest, right?
That is correct.
Welcome to the show. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Bob. It's my pleasure to be here anytime.
Well, it's good to have you here, and I apologize for the ranting, because it's really affected me, not so much me personally, but it's affecting the clients that we serve, and certainly the caregivers too. Those caregivers knew that there was no overtime exemption, and now we have to cut their hours back to 40 hours. And some of them want to work 50, 60, 70 hours a week because they're passionate people and they have heart and kindness. So let's talk about the Alzheimer's Association. You've got something coming up tomorrow.
We do. We have the Walk to End Alzheimer's out in the West Valley, out in Sun City West at Beardsley Recreation Center. It'll be bright and early, starting 7:30 in the morning, Saturday morning, trying to avoid the heat. But to get people out there, it's our largest fundraiser of the year. Really brings out thousands of people to come out, show their support. They honor loved ones, honor people who've had the disease. They may have lost them, walk in honor of people that are living with the disease, but really to help bring awareness and attention, and also hopefully change the course of this disease.
Well, I'll tell you what, I've been associated with this disease over 12 years, and to see what you guys have done in the 12 years since I've been involved is nothing short of phenomenal. And I'm talking about the numbers of people that you pull out for the walk, but even more so the amount of money that we're raising here. And that money stays here to support the social service programs that you have here supporting those families, correct?
It really does. The money that we raise supports, we have 6 core programs here in the community that are helping people with the disease right here. Just as you say, it helps the people with the disease, their families, their caregivers, their loved ones. And I appreciate greatly, as you say, I've been there 10 years now with the association, and what I've seen over those 10 years truly is phenomenal. I mean, on one hand, part of it's because Alzheimer's, as you say, it's an epidemic. I mean, it's really growing. Age is the number one risk factor, and as we all know, the baby boomers are aging and approaching that retirement age. We're approaching some of those ages of greatest risk for developing Alzheimer's. So I think people have started to become a little more aware of it as it's become more and more of a reality of a threat to them. So, we're working every day to try to help.
I'll tell you what, it sounds like we're up against a break here. A little bit of Eric Clapton to take us out, but I want you to know that I want to pick up on that. I want to talk about some of the statistics because they are daunting. And you said epidemic, and I've had Dr. Pierre Theriault say it's pandemic because this is going to have an amazing effect, and not very positively, on our economy and the way we do things in our society.
It's true.
You're listening to Health Futures, Taking Stock in You, and I'm Bob Roth, and I've got Dan Lawler in the studio from the Alzheimer's Association. We're going to talk about Alzheimer's disease, and we're going to talk about the walk that he's got coming up in the West Valley, and we'll give you more details when we come back.
Did you know that every dollar you put in a piece of real estate makes you money 5 ways? Cash flow, money in your pocket each month. Equity capture, the thousands of dollars you create when you have the right team and buy the right property using the right map. Appreciation, real estate doubles in value about every 20 years. Equity buildup, renters pay down your mortgage each month. And finally, the tax advantage. We pay almost no taxes on our cash flow and capital gains. These are the 5 ways we make money in real estate, which is why real estate accounts for more millionaires in the world today than any other investment vehicle. You should have some real estate in your portfolio. To learn how, attend one of our free workshops. Call 866-971-8970 or go to luiphoenix.com and register for the next available workshop. That's 866-971-8970 or go to luiphoenix.com.
Hi, I'm Don McDonald, and in my 25 years as a national financial talk show host, I've advised listeners to keep investing costs low, to properly diversify, rebalance, be patient, and ignore the financial hype. And tomorrow morning in Scottsdale, I bring my decades of experience together with the work of multiple Nobel Prize-winning scientists in my valuable new class, Real Retirement. Learn the difference between real investing and speculating. Explore the realities of risk and how to manage it to your advantage. Plus, I'll show you how to create your own massively diversified investment portfolio and how to generate a lifelong income stream from your investments. And because I want everyone to have the opportunity to attend this valuable class, I'm offering tickets for only $5 today only at TalkingRealMoney.com. This class is just that, an educational class, not a sales seminar. Find the best path to a real retirement tomorrow morning in Scottsdale. Get your tickets now at TalkingRealMoney.com, TalkingRealMoney.com, or call 800-386-3004, 800-386-3004.
Exergen Temporal Scanner Thermometer is the top choice of doctors and nurses nationwide and should be yours. With one scan to the forehead, Exergen Temporal Scanner provides an accurate temperature stress-free. Available at Walmart.
Now back to Health Futures, taking stock in you. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Cypress Home Care Solutions, Bob Roth.
Welcome back. My name is Bob Roth, and you are listening to Health Futures, Taking Stock in You. And if you're just tuning in, we're on our second segment, and I've got Dan Lawler from the Alzheimer's Association here, and we're talking about the Alzheimer's disease and what Alzheimer's Association is doing. And they're leading the fight, and they are certainly doing an incredible job of getting the word out there. And Dan, as you know, I had the pleasure of serving in many capacities with the Alzheimer's Association, and one of them was being your chair or co-chair of your Memory Walk in Phoenix. And the Memory Walk in Phoenix, which is coming up on November 7th?
Correct, November 7th.
November 7th, and we're going to plug that not only on this episode, but we're going to do that on the next couple weeks, because we need the turnout, and we need this movement, as I want to call it, to happen. And speaking of this movement, it's amazing for me to see how much we are getting in terms of television and newspaper print. I mean, the awareness is getting raised. I mean, Susan B. Komen has done a great job for breast cancer. And certainly every not-for-profit, especially those that are in the disease category, like Alzheimer's Association is, they aspire to be like Susan B. Komen and the breast cancer movement, because that is incredible. And for me to watch the growth, it's been nothing but short of phenomenal. And I want you to talk a little bit about what you guys are doing for the public awareness and getting the word out there.
Well, and it has been phenomenal. As I said before the break, I think as the population has aged, I think the threat of Alzheimer's, the reality of Alzheimer's, has become a little more readily pressing to people in their mind. But I will say this: I think the association nationwide, we've really taken, as you yourself have said, a concerted steps to raise that awareness, to work to get people know it's not just dementia, it's not senility, it's not people getting old, it is Alzheimer's disease. This is a disease. We need to get it diagnosed. We need to have resources dedicated to this because just looking at the sheer numbers and the statistics, more than 5.3 million Americans have the disease today, and year over year, that's just going to grow, as we said, an epidemic, a pandemic, because at this rate, we as a country cannot afford to care for individuals as they age in 2020, in 2025, and 2050. So it's something we need to address now, something we need to do now. And so we've taken a lot of efforts to really raise that awareness, to engage our elected leaders, both on the state as well as federal level, to really turn their attention to Alzheimer's disease. We've had great success as a country, I think, with other diseases, with other health threats. And so Alzheimer's disease really is the greatest health threat that we have, that we're just, quite frankly, not addressing to the fullest extent we can.
And we're not addressing it because we're not getting any closer to finding not even so much a cure.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what we're looking for is we're looking for a way to delay the onset or to kind of turn it off. Kind of what we've done as it relates to HIV. I mean, we've done a great job as a community, as a country, to develop drugs through great, big pharma to be able to prevent AIDS. I mean, people are living every day with HIV, but they are not getting AIDS and they're not dying. And for us, if you have the gene, which we know if you have two parents that have the gene, you more than likely have a 100% chance of getting it, then we could hopefully one day find a way to come up with a pharma concoction or a way to just turn it off so you don't get that disease.
Well, you're right. I mean, the challenge with Alzheimer's disease is it deals with the brain. And I think even on a layman's level, when you think of the human body, the brain is the most complex organ we have. It controls so much. There's so much about it. And so Alzheimer's affects the brain and attacks the brain. And so trying to figure out exactly what it's doing, how it's working in each individual person has been a challenge. So, I mean, currently the drugs and treatments we have really are akin to, taking Dayquil when you have the flu. It can help some of the symptoms. It can help you feel better, but it doesn't actually do anything to the actual disease inside of you.
Right.
And so that's really what, you yourself said, we're really trying to approach. We'd love to find a cure, but beyond that, we would love to find treatments to alter the course of the disease as people have it.
Absolutely. And, we talked about the awareness and you think of actors and actresses that have actually, really supported it through PSAs. I mean, one name that, comes to mind is Seth Rogen. Bradley Cooper's been out there. There have been a number of campaigns, with Samuel Jackson. I mean, it really helps to bring the awareness to this because everybody's affected by this one way or another. 6 degrees of separation. Everyone knows someone that has been afflicted or knows somebody that's been afflicted with this horrible disease.
Which is very true. I think public awareness of the disease truly changed course when former President Ronald Reagan came out and said that he was suffering with this disease. He was probably the first big person that everybody knew that actually publicly acknowledged having the disease and that it was something that was affecting them. Since then, you yourself have said, as we've gotten more celebrities to come out and actually say, this is a disease that affects me, Charlton Heston, Peter Falk, people that we've grown up with, known and loved, who've passed away from the disease, I think it really starts to break down that barrier that people, I'm sure those caregivers, those families, it's such a personal disease to them, and they can often think this is happening just to me. But the reality is there's more than 5 million people in America that have it, and it's happening to everybody, and we need to talk about this. We need to acknowledge this, and only through that can we really come together and say, we're going to fight this.
So I want to just say this to our listening audience because I want to talk more about the disease and what the association's doing, but at the same time, let people know that there are resources right here to help.
There are.
And, we are a microcosm of really what's going on in the entire country, let alone the world. But we got these resources here, Dan, that are phenomenal. And beyond the association, we've got the commitment from Banner, and we've got the commitment from the folks over there at Barrows, and we've got this consortium with TGen and others. I mean, all of this is happening in our backyard. And if you happen to have a loved one, or if you suspect that your loved one or neighbor or friend might have this disease, you can go and get help here.
You can. We are fortunate here in the Valley that we truly have some of the top minds across the nation and across the world working on this, from Banner and Dignity Health to Mayo Clinic to TGen. We have some great research institutes here that are working with us, some great doctors who are at the forefront of this. So I think you yourself say information is the key for family members to have to combat this. If you suspect this, if you're going home for Thanksgiving or for Christmas or the holidays this year, and you're with your family, you're with your parents or something, you suspect something might be wrong, ask about it. Go to the doctor. Find out about it, because you need to get a diagnosis. You need to find out more. And through that's a gateway to be able to go out and to really engage the different hospitals, the different research institutes, to really try to help find ways to combat the disease.
It's incredible you said that, and it's hard to believe that it's October 16th. And Thanksgiving's 5 weeks away, 6 weeks away. And, we live in the Valley, which is a destination, and so many people are listening in right now. And they can totally relate to this, because family members and loved ones are going to be coming in for the Thanksgiving holiday, or they're going to come in for Christmas, and they're going to try to escape the winter tundra that is, that they're dealing with in the Midwest or out east or in the Northeast. And they come here, and I want our family members to really know what signs are there that we should be looking for, Dan, because we should be looking for those things.
We should. And I think if you go to our website, alz.org, you'll find a lot of information, a lot of resources, and some of the warning signs. A couple of the things that I will say to the listeners that you should look for are going to be, first and foremost, if your parent or loved one has always had some sort of hobby that they've loved, whether it be crocheting, biking, they love to hike Camelback Mountain or even some of the trails, and suddenly they just have lost interest in it completely. They're just like, oh, I don't want to do that. That actually can be a sign, because while we may sit there and say that, hiking, it's physically strenuous, but an easy activity. But when you think about, you have to have the clothes, you have to have your shoes, you have to lace everything up, you have to get out there, you have to go, you have to find your car when you come back. I mean, people having memory issues will find that more and more frustrating and difficult, and so they'll just give up on it, have excuses. So that's a key sign that I would have the listeners look for.
Well, I want to talk about more signs, and I know we're coming up against a break, but certainly, looking for someone that might be withdrawn and somebody that isn't, outgoing. But the piece that I realize, and you do too, I mean, some of these people are very intelligent, and they know they may be slipping, and what they do to hide it.
True.
And, you may be listening in right now, and you have a loved one that you're really not aware of what's going on. They're hurrying you off the phone. They're doing whatever they can to hide it. So we're up against a break here. We'll come right back, talk about the signs, and we'll talk a little bit more about the walk.
Sounds great.
You're listening to Health Futures, and we'll be right back.
As we reach the bottom of the hour, we pause for a look at the world's news. Then we're back with Money Talk. We're Money Radio 1510 and 99.3 FM.
President Obama welcomed the president of South Korea to the White House. Mr. Obama says the U.S. is open to re-engaging in talks with North Korea, but under certain conditions.
Pyongyang needs to understand that it will not achieve the economic development it seeks so long as it clings to nuclear weapons.
Hillary Clinton aide Huma Abedin is testifying before the House Committee on Benghazi. Correspondent Manu Raju is on Capitol Hill.
I talked to Lynn Westmoreland. He's a Republican from Georgia, about what she said in the hearing room, and what he was saying, that she didn't recall a lot of those episodes from the 2012 attacks. She's trying to, I think, portray herself as someone who is not involved in the government response. And Democrats are saying that this is just a partisan witch hunt.
Hundreds of cars and trucks are still stuck in the mud on California's Route 58. Mudslides are still blocking portions of Interstate 5 as crews plow away debris, blocking that major artery in and out of L.A. I'm John Trout.
If you can't recall your own cell phone number, but know the braking distance of a half-ton pickup traveling downhill at 57 miles per hour, then CarQuest Auto Parts is for you. That's because CarQuest Auto Parts is for those who really know and care about their car. Right now, get a half-inch drive click-style torque wrench, a $34.99 value for just $10 with the purchase of CarQuest Platinum brake pads and 2 rotors. CarQuest is serious auto parts.
See participating stores for details.
Imagine a store that lets you get anything you wanted. An HD flat screen TV, a high-capacity, ultra-quiet washer and dryer, a complete living room set. And imagine if you didn't need a lick of credit to get it. That store simply believed in you. Imagine if they even delivered it, set it up, and serviced it at no additional cost. Well, that store exists. That's Rent-A-Center. Imagine that. No credit needed. Affordable payment plans. Delivery, setup, and service included. Imagine new possibilities at Rent-A-Center. Rental purchase transaction. See store for details.
Money Radio presents Financial Fest. Saturday, November 14th. Get all the details, including our new location at financialfest.com. One weekend per year. One day of that weekend. But a day that could change your life. It's Money Radio's Financial Fest, and this year that day is Saturday, November 14th. Join our title sponsor, IQ Wealth Management, and all the other presenters and exhibitors, such as Uptown Realty, for a day of invaluable information as you plan for retirement, as you look for new and exciting ways of investing, as you look for a fun day at the beautiful JW Marriott Desert Ridge. And although it's the event that will help you make money, it won't cost you money. As always, the admission is free. It all starts at 8 in the morning and goes through most of the day. Get the full story by going to financialfest.com. If you want to spend the night, there are special room rates for attendees. For all the info, go to financialfest.com. Hope to see you there.
With happiness, opportunity, and technology every Tuesday at noon, host John Barnabas builds on the success of the short segment Executive Technology Bites, Mondays on Business for Breakfast. Each week, hot features an in-depth discussion on the Money Radio technology portfolio of promising technology-oriented stocks and exclusive interviews with key personalities within those companies in the portfolio. Join John Barnabas every Tuesday at noon for happiness, opportunity, and technology exclusively on Money Radio.
This is tight end R.J. Rickard from Mesquite High School in Gilbert. You can catch Lumberjack football all season long on the Valley's home for NAU athletics.
And that home is Money Radio, 99.3 FM and 1510 AM. Catch NAU Lumberjack football's homecoming game in the Sky Dome in Flagstaff against the Wildcats of Weber State live Saturday, October 24th with pregame show coverage starting at 3 p.m. on Money Radio, 99.3 FM and 1510 AM, the Valley's home of NAU Lumberjack football.
Exergen Temporal Scanner Thermometer is a must-have for all busy parents. With just one scan to the forehead, Exergen Temporal Scanner Thermometer takes your child's temperature quickly and accurately. Available at Walgreens.
I'm Bruce Vail with Your Money Now. Whether it's to get them ready to sell, improve their value for later, or to just make them look nicer, people continue to spend money on home improvement projects. Based on the current rate for the year, spending on home improvements for 2015 could surpass the record of $324 billion set during the peak of the housing boom in 2007. Rising home prices have enabled many homeowners to pull some cash out of their homes to pay for remodeling projects. Refinancing has also freed up more cash for home repairs. Oil prices ended the week with a nearly 2% gain. Crude futures rose 88 cents, settling in New York at $47.26 a barrel. Stocks have changed direction several times today. At the moment, the major indexes are higher. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is up 42 points. The Nasdaq Composite ahead 6 points. The S&P 500 is up 5. That's Your Money Now.
The smarter way to manage business expenses, presented by Concur.
After my conference, I checked out of the hotel and the bill was automatically added to my expense report. Then I hopped into a taxi. I snapped a photo of the receipt using Concur, and bam, there it was on my expense report. Then I used my corporate card to buy the client's lunch. Another charge added to my expense report.
Expense reports that write themselves. Just one of the many ways Concur helps manage your company's spend so you can focus on the big picture. Take a free test drive today at tryconcur.com.
We help farmers make the best use of their land, which means healthier crops, higher yields, and fewer harvesting hours, which is good news for a growing population and good news for the environment. BASF. We create chemistry.
Now back to Health Futures, taking stock in you. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Cypress Home Care Solutions, Bob Roth.
Welcome back. My name is Bob Roth, and you're listening to Health Futures, taking stock in you. And we're on our third segment. And if you're just joining us, I've got Dan Lawler from the Alzheimer's Association here in the studio. We're coming at you live from the Scottsdale Air Park. And, you know, Dan, we're talking about early signs, but before we jump in the early signs, we're talking about the walk that you got going tomorrow. So the West Valley's got a walk to end Alzheimer's. Yep. It is tomorrow. Registration starts at 7:30 a.m. Can you tell people how they can sign up?
Sure. It's very easy to sign up if you just simply go online to westvalleyalzheimerswalk.org. That's all one word or all strung together. And you'll be right there. You'll see all the information. Just if you're new, just click register. You can either create a team. You can join an existing team, get a few friends together, or if you know colleagues, people at work, you can create your own team. If you, for some reason, not going to be in town tomorrow, not going to be able to make it out, you can always donate to either the walk or a particular walker or team. So just simply going to westvalleyalzheimerswalk.org will take you there. Very easy to see all that and those options.
And it's being held at the Beardsley Recreation Center. And for those that are familiar with it, that's where you'll find it, 7:30 a.m. Make sure you get out there. And you know, it's interesting, if you go to this website, which I've done right now, and the pictures are really cool from previous walks. And I was actually looking for the picture for my dog and me in there because I think we've been in there before. But they list their progress to date. And I got to tell you, you know, when I talk about the awareness and how much this movement has grown since the days I helped co-chair the Memory Walk in Phoenix, you've raised so far over $65,000 just in this West Valley Walk alone. And your goal is $96,000. We need some help. So get out there. We need this movement to happen. And just to give you an idea in comparison, from the days when I hosted, or should I say co-chaired the walk, this was back in 2004 and 5 all the way to 08 and 09, we at that time raised about $67,000. And when I stepped off that chairmanship, you guys were we'd raised over $200,000, and you told me at the break that you guys are up at about $350,000.
Yeah, the Phoenix Walk has really grown significantly. Like as we were saying during the break, we expect 10,000 people to be at the Phoenix Walk this year. We'll have over 1,000 people in the West Valley. I mean, the community has really come out and embraced it. And so having people out there to show their support is key.
And I know that, you know, some of you guys are listening, and, you know, our meteorologists and our weather people get really excited when they hear that there's rain in the forecast. And a lot of times, more times than not, when they predict it, we don't get it. But I can promise you this, if there is a front coming in, there's going to be a low ceiling, and it'll be nice and cool. It's not going to be 100 degrees tomorrow. It's going to be perfect at 7:30 a.m. So Beardsley Recreation Center, go to westvalleyalzheimerswalk.org, right?
Correct. And come out. Bob, you're right. The weather's just going to be nice and cool for us. We'll have some great entertainment, great food. You know, come out, rain or shine, and enjoy yourself and really celebrate the work we're doing in the community, honor those loved ones and people who are affected by the walk. But we really need your support to come out.
You know what's really phenomenal is watching those teams.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, the teams, and I'm talking about families and how they assembled themselves. And They wear shirts, they carry signs, and then the shirts may have a picture or the name of their loved one. It really is spectacular to watch. And for me, who is a provider of care services to this population, and I'm talking about the families and those that are afflicted by the disease, it's amazing how many people that have the disease that come out. And these people are phenomenal, and they're brave, and they're going through some challenges and some awkward moments, but they're out there and they are believing in this, and they're helping to raise money for a great cause.
Correct, and I think you're exactly right. Seeing the caregivers, seeing those families, seeing the people who are affected by this disease, it really brings home why we do what we do. We do it for the families. We do it for the individuals who are affected, who are living with this disease. I know you yourself, Cypress, is a wonderful sponsor of the walk, have been consistently over the years, which is wonderful. Those families, though, when they come out, those teams are so excited, show that support, show that energy. It gives me hope for the future and what we can accomplish together.
And we can do that by all coming together. Yes. This movement that we're talking about, we want to be like Susan B. Komen is to breast cancer, to the Alzheimer's movement. The Alzheimer's Association has been doing a great job. Thank you for all the work you're doing, and we still have a lot more work to do.
We do.
So we were talking about early signs and things to look for, and we talked about how oftentimes they hide it from us, and you may have both a mother and a father or a couple that may be aging, and sometimes you don't realize till the one has passed how the other one may have been afflicted by this disease, not overnight, but for some time, but the other one was covering for it.
Correct, because we hear those stories a lot. We hear those stories that, mom passed away or was in the hospital or something happened to her, and then suddenly dad developed Alzheimer's, and in the span of 3 months had full-blown Alzheimer's, and they just, he went downhill so quickly. And the reality is, just as you say, his primary caregiver, your mom, was covering for him and doing those things. So we encourage families to really talk about it, to really pay attention, As you see your loved ones at the holidays, whether it be Thanksgiving or the winter holidays, look for people that might have some changes in behavior. If your dad was always very sharp with money and very on that, but then when you talk to him about it now, seems a lot more hesitant, a lot more vague about it, that could be a warning sign. People that don't recognize family members. I know we all forget names. We all get stressed out, forget names or places are there, but don't remember that, they have 2 grandchildren, or don't recognize certain other family members as even being family members. Those can be warning signs that we look for, and people are very quick and very easy to pass things off and to try to hide it and cover it. But these are serious things that we need to address, because on one hand, you definitely need to go to your doctor, get a diagnosis, and with that gives you the power, both as a caregiver and as a family, to make decisions. But there's a possibility that it's not Alzheimer's, that there's something else affecting the brain. There's other things at play. So don't just assume it's a particular disease, but go to the doctor and try to get that diagnosis.
And it's interesting you say that, because oftentimes you think the worst, and they may be suffering from delirium, they might be showing some signs of dementia, but they may have had a urinary tract infection. They may just be dehydrated. And you're right. I mean, you need to get to your primary care physician if something just doesn't seem right.
Correct.
And some of the ways they hide too is, and we talked about it before, is about on the phone. If they're hurrying you off the phone, and it's consistently happening, something's going on. Because
Correct.
if they're usually lengthily talking to you, I just made up a word, lengthily. So let's call Webster. We're going to trademark that one. But if they usually are talking longer on the phone, and then all of a sudden they're just cutting you off, there's something at play there. And
it really just falls into that whole category of a change in behavior. If your mom or your dad talks a long time on the phone or in person, then suddenly, or you've noticed short conversations. If they've always been gregarious and outgoing, and then suddenly are just withdrawn. These changes in
poor
behavior.
hygiene.
poor hygiene. I mean, a lot of these
bumps
little
and
changes.
bruises. Absolutely. These are all things to be looking for. And
correct.
Dan, as you said, the holidays are going to be upon us before you know it. So we need to be starting to think about these things right now.
You do.
You know, I want to talk about resources here in the Valley. I have the opportunity to serve on the board for the Banner Alzheimer's Institute. The Banner Alzheimer's Institute is a great place to go to if you aren't sure if your loved one has one or if you've recently got a diagnosis. Call them. You can reach them at 602-839-6900, or you can go to banneralz.org. Now, the Alzheimer's Association, how do they contact you?
Well, you can call us at 602-528-0545, or you can go visit us online at alz.org/DSW, and we have programs for any stage of the disease.
And DSW is Desert Southwest.
Correct.
And I will tell you, you have options. You have resources right here in our backyard.
Yes.
You know, it's sad that you may have a loved one that might be afflicted with this disease, but you have an army. You have a village, and that's the greatest thing about it. There is help, and you're not alone, and that's also important. You are not alone.
You are not alone.
We're up against a break here. My name is Bob Roth. You are listening to Health Futures, Taking Stock in You. I've got Dan Lawler in the studio, and we got one more segment. We're going to be right back.
Laura Bramnick is a real estate agent and a real estate attorney and a consumer advocate. If you have distressed property, a possible short sale or foreclosure, you need more than a real estate agent. You need a good attorney. You're not alone. Laura can help. For more information, visit talkrealestateaz.com or call 480-624-2705. That's 480-624-2705. To talk with Laura, call 480-624-2705.
Volatility is coming back into the market. After a few generally peaceful up years in the market, 2015 has already had a number of sharp up and down moves, and these are likely to continue. If you're prepared for it, volatility is opportunity. If you're not, it can quickly wipe out years of gains in your portfolio. Learn how to get on the professional side of the trade, the right side of the trade, regardless of volatility. Check out Online Trading Academy's The Right Side of the Trade, Thursday at noon on Money Radio 1510.
Hi, I'm Don McDonald, and in my 25 years as a national financial talk show host, I've advised listeners to keep investing costs low, to properly diversify, rebalance, be patient, and ignore the financial hype. And tomorrow morning in Scottsdale, I bring my decades of experience together with the work of multiple Nobel Prize-winning scientists in my valuable new class, Real Retirement. Learn the difference between real investing and speculating. Explore the realities of risk and how to manage it to your advantage. Plus, I'll show you how to create your own massively diversified investment portfolio and how to generate a lifelong income stream from your investments. And because I want everyone to have the opportunity to attend this valuable class, I'm offering tickets for only $5 today only at TalkingRealMoney.com. This class is just that, an educational class, not a sales seminar. Find the best path to a real retirement tomorrow morning in Scottsdale. Get your tickets now at TalkingRealMoney.com, TalkingRealMoney.com, or call 800-386-3004, 800-386-3004.
SRP customers, learn how you could win autographed Cardinals prizes and help plant trees in Arizona land destroyed by fire. Visit srptreesforchange.com.
Now back to Health Futures, taking stock in you. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Cypress Home Care Solutions, Bob Roth.
You know, I did not plan on having this song intro, but this is Glenn Campbell. And for those that don't know this, Glenn is one of those people that we know that is a celebrity that has this disease.
Truly, and I know there's been the film out recently, I'll Be Me, a wonderful film. If you haven't had a chance to go out and see it, wonderful. His family, who's local, has actually come out to the walk.
Absolutely.
Big supporters of ours. He has been a great spokesperson for the disease.
You know, I had the opportunity to meet his wife, Kim, and she is amazing because she did this movie, I'll Be Me, and she let the world into their life.
Truly.
And if you're just tuning in right now, I had to make that comment about Glenn Campbell because he is one of those people that is brave and that was willing to share his life with the world and what this disease does. And you're listening to Health Futures Taking Stock in You. And I've got Dan Lawler from the Alzheimer's Association and really talking about Glenn Campbell, the fact that we learned, and I knew this and as did you, music is one of the last things that we as human beings lose when we have a brain disease like Alzheimer's. Mm-hmm. And this guy has perfect pitch. And to hear him sing that song that, you know, he got an Academy Award for and finished runner-up as a Grammy, it really speaks volume to his talent, his capability, and it's a beautiful song.
It is a beautiful song, and I will say, touching on music, you know, we run a number of programs around the valley here. We have some support groups. We have over 80 support groups at the chapter, and we do education sessions. We do a free education, probably averaging about 3 a week. If you simply go to our website, alz.org/DSW, you can find all of our education and support groups and the resources that are out there for you. Getting back to it, though, we have a Memories in the Making program, which encompasses both music therapy as well as painting or some sculpture. But people with the disease, especially as they progress in it, you know, sometimes lose the ability to communicate effectively through words. But we found that music and art and other ways to express themselves, that they're still able to do that. While they may not be able to verbalize things, they're able to express themselves through art therapy. So that's been wonderful.
Well, and I'm so glad that you shared with the audience the resources that we have in our community. And speaking of movies, there is a movie that came out also just recently, and it's called Alive Inside. And that Alive Inside was a remarkable movie. And it was this guy, Dan Cohen, who was a social worker out of New York, discovered that music and what it does to people and brings them alive is amazing. I remember this movie distinctly, and I encourage our listening audience to see it if they get a chance. I think you can pull it down off of Netflix now. You know, what they did to this one guy who was catatonic, and they put the earbuds in, and this guy he woke up. And not only did he wake up, he was smiling, moving in his chair. When they removed the earbuds from him, he still had that moment of clarity for 3 or 4 minutes before he went back into that state. So there is a great trigger with music and memory, and I encourage our listening audience to check that out.
Well, we've seen a lot of great, I think, pop culture, especially movies that have addressed Alzheimer's. I know a lot of people probably became aware of it with Still Alice that came out with Julianne Moore winning an Academy Award.
Incredible movie.
It really is. I will say the one thing I would really like to touch upon with Still Alice and takeaway is planning. You know, people who have the disease, or if you're worried about symptoms, your loved one, it's always good to plan, to have those financial plans, to have that power of attorney, to let your wishes be known and in writing, because you want that early on. You want that early on when our legal system, our courts and such recognize your ability to make those decisions, because I think if families wait until somebody has a full-blown diagnosis of Alzheimer's disease, or it's seen that, you know, they're not able to make sound decisions on their own, it becomes that much harder for families to really come together and be able to make those decisions in their best interest, especially when it comes to the financial decisions and the medical decisions in some areas. And you really want to plan out and get the families together and get them on the same page with the person with the disease so they can express their desires.
Thank you. We've talked about this on the show. We've had elder law attorneys, and I am so glad you brought that up, because both points, medical and financial decisions, once that diagnosis does happen, that person is deemed no longer competent, and they cannot sign over those things.
Correct.
So, you know, then you're looking at probate, and you're looking at, you know, the courts, and you're looking at appointment of guardians and conservators, and that's not a good situation. So proper planning, and you don't even have to have the disease.
Correct.
We're talking about anyone that is aging, and I had attorney Marsha Goodman here, and she said that anyone that's 18 or older, and trust me, all my children have it now, because God forbid you find one of your children in the hospital and they're over 18 years old, and you want to call to check in on them to see what's going on, and you talk to the nurse or doctor, they will not give you the information unless you have a power of attorney. So I'm so glad you brought that up. And certainly so many people have been affected by this by not having that plan in place. You know that old adage, if you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. So please take that to heart. Sure. You know, the other thing that we want to talk about, too, is really starting the conversation. And, you know, especially when you have siblings, and if one has identified it, you don't want to take that on by yourself, because then you are going to be ostracized. So you want to bring in family members to support you. You want to make sure everybody's on the same team. And to the point you made before, you want to properly plan, and you want to really understand the family dynamic so that you can put that plan in place, have that discussion, and really be able to plan for the eventual the disease and other challenges that may come along with it.
True, and if people call our offices, 602-528-0545, we have social workers on staff that actually go out and work with families just for those types of purposes, to bring families together, to talk to them, as well as the individual with the disease, if they're able to really plan, to say, what does that individual want? What do we want to do together? How can we best ensure their quality of life? How can we best carry out their wishes? How can we come together and really attack this?
I want to make it clear to the listening audience, it takes a village, and we need your help. And it starts with the memory walk.
Correct.
We've got a couple of them coming right up, and we got one tomorrow, and that's the West Valley Walk to End Alzheimer's. Go to westvalleyalzheimerswalk.org, and it's at the Beardsley Recreation Center. And I want to also make sure that November 7th is on your calendar, because we have the Phoenix Walk coming up as well. So also alz.org / DSW, Desert Southwest, is how you find more information on what the association is doing. Lastly, I want to just leave off Cypress Home Care Solutions. We are an employer-based agency out there to help people with their aging loved ones be able to stay at home. I advocate it very often. Family members should be where you go first for help. And I'm talking about those couples, the spouse that is doing the heavy work. If they're 65 or older, that one person has a 63% chance, that caregiver, of predeceasing the one that they love. Dan, we're at the end of our show.
Wow, the time's flown.
It has flown. Make it a great day. Have a great weekend. Thank you, Dan Lawler, for joining us on
Thank you for having
Futures.
us.
Take care. Bye-bye.
There's no place like home. You've been listening to Bob Roth's Health Futures. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call Cypress Home Care Solutions at 602-264-8009. That's 602-264-8009. Or visit CypressHomeCare.com. Be sure to join Health Futures with Bob Roth every Friday at noon, right here on Money Radio 1510 and 99.3 FM.
There is one common thought that circles about in most people's minds when they think about the future. Have I put enough away for retirement? Will I have enough income to live out my golden years securely? How do I know I'm doing it right? I don't want to have any regrets. If you have any of these thoughts, be sure to join Certified Financial Planner Nancy Fleming of Fleming Financial Services this Saturday at 10 a.m. right here on Money Radio for My Smart Retirement. Retirement can be tricky, and you don't want to have regrets. So tune in this Saturday morning from 10 to 11 right here on Money Radio.
Money Radio 1510
and 99.3 FM.
Is KFNN Mesa Phoenix and K257CD Phoenix. Money Radio and Uptown Realty invite you to spend a day with us at Financial Fest Saturday, November 14th. FinancialFest.com is the place to go for all the info. Right now, the Dow is up 74 points, the S&P 500 is up 9, and the NASDAQ is up 15.
When people want to talk about money, this is the place they come to. And there's more on the way after this break for the latest news. And we begin now.